How is jiu-jitsu real? Just stand up from guard, as quoted by UFC heavyweight Derek Lewis. But jokes aside, I am a BJJ black belt myself and definitely believe in the effectiveness of BJJ. In today's video, I will be showing a step-by-step formula of fundamental wrestling and BJJ techniques to follow on how to quote-unquote just stand up immediately after you get taken down, or when you are in bottom guard, side control, butterfly guard, and many other scenarios that I've gathered through my sparring footage.
Get your leg out, get your leg. Yeah.
So here are the first steps. Obviously, you want to sprawl when your opponent shoots for a takedown. But if your opponent has a hold of your legs, they can continue to drive forward and cut an angle to finish the takedown. The first thing you want to do is post with a bent arm on the side they are driving towards. In this situation, it is my right arm. This is to ensure that my back does not hit the mats. It's very important to keep your posture and lean forward, again, to avoid your back falling to the mats. The next step is to post and push down on the head with your other arm. Then post and push off the mat with your same side leg and hip heist, which is a wrestling move and term, which just means driving back into your opponent with your hips to create space and lifting your hips up in the air. By doing that, you can pull your bottom leg back and scramble to your feet. From here, you get another chance to sprawl and defend a second takedown. I could have stood back up here, but in this situation, I decided to circle to the back. Here's another example with the exact same situation. The main BJJ technique we are using in these examples is what we call the technical lift, posting on one arm and the opposite side leg, creating a tripod and lifting our bottom leg up to sprawl or stand back up. In this example, I was able to push his head at the same time I posted on my arm, so I had enough space between me and my opponent to immediately do a technical lift. In this next example, instead of pushing down on the head, I hugged my opponent's lat to stay postured up and leaning forward so I could work my way up. In this example, I used my left arm to threaten a guillotine, and I used that as leverage to keep me postured up and leaning forward to do a technical lift. In this example, I actually got lifted up into the air and my back hit the mat. Normally I would have started to shrimp to guard, but I was able to sit up and post on his head and repeat the same steps as shown. And here is a failed attempt, but I was able to reverse the takedown with a BJJ sweep. On to step 2.
There you go.
Sometimes when our opponent is holding so tight that we get stuck in this mid-air hip heist position. So to generate more leverage, we push the head down with our other arm instead and switch arm posts. Our opponent is trying to drive our hips back down to the ground, so we go with our momentum and push to the opposite direction, and sometimes we can roll them right over.
There it is. Cut the corner, yeah.
Here's another example where I rolled him right over and landed in full mount.
Oh my goodness. Let's go, Eric. Let's go.
In this next example, my opponent was leaning towards the other side so much that I immediately switched arm posts and pushed with my rear arm. But you can see that I was unable to roll him over because he opened his arm and posted with his right elbow to stay balanced. But that gave me enough room to pull my left leg out. Once you free one leg, step that leg up and turn away. But it is very important to keep pushing the head down, or else your opponent will take your back 100%. So from here, you need to be patient. Sit and lean back while pointing your toes downwards with your trapped leg. You need to be patient because if you stand up now, your opponent will double leg you again. But if you stay here, you will eventually free your leg. As soon as they let go, you are free. And my opponent ended up holding so tight that he got rolled over.
Yep, that's it, Bishop, that's it. Let's go. Keep him there. Keep him there. Yeah, oh my goodness, let's go. Oh, take him down again.
Now, if your opponent maintains a strong base and doesn't let you roll them over, you want to make sure you push the head with a straight arm. You can see that in this example, my opponent immediately tried to transition to a back take, but because I was keeping his face far away from me with a straight arm, he was unable to, and I was able to scramble to my feet and sprawl. And here are some more examples.
Hold him down. 10 seconds, Eric. Hold him down. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Hold him, Eric. 10 seconds. Hold him, man. Don't let him go. Don't let him get up. Don't let him get up.
From here, remember you can be throwing hammer fists to the head, causing them to let go.
Don't let him turn you around. Keep his hips down. Control his hips. There you go. Nice. Ooh.
Sometimes our opponent shoots for a double leg with their head on the inside, meaning their head is on the same side of the arm you are posting on. You have the option of getting the overhook, aka the whizzer, apply shoulder pressure by driving your shoulder down, then post on your same side leg and do a technical lift.
Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Up, 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 up. Oh, yee. Turn into him. Turn it. Oh, my goodness.
You also have the option of still pushing the head, and in this example, my opponent held so tightly, he forgot about posting, and I was able to bridge him over, and I landed in full mount from the hip heisting. Now what happens if your opponent takes you down another way, and you land on your back? You are going to have to use BJJ techniques to get your legs in front of your opponent and use your legs to protect you from strikes, aka your guard. In this situation, I pushed my opponent back with my legs to create enough space to frame off the face, sit up, post on an arm, and repeat the same process to stand up. But actually in this situation, I attempted a BJJ sweep, which created space for me to stand back up. Here's another example where my opponent gets me flat on my back and is on my side. I had to use a BJJ guard retention technique called high leg by lifting my hips up in the air and stepping my left leg up and over to my opponent's left shoulder, then push off his shoulder to retract my right leg in between my opponent and I. With my legs, aka my guard, in front of me, I was able to technical lift by posting on my right leg, left arm, pushing on the face with my right arm, and lift my left leg up to stand up. In this example, I was in bottom guard. Instead of getting punched in the face while trying to submit my opponent, I stepped my left foot down, pushed off the face, and used a BJJ technique called shrimping to create space for my opponent, slide my left shin across the belly, and use that as a leg post to then post on my right arm and technical lift by pulling my right leg up. And here are a bunch of other examples. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, well, you're open to getting hit in the face. Yes, that is absolutely true. But the mindset nowadays is that I'd rather take a shot or two on my way up, and probably not very accurate or powerful shots, versus staying on the ground and letting the strikes pile up and accumulating significantly more damage. In fact, in all these examples, my opponents were trying to hold me down instead of striking. If they were to let go and look to strike instead, I would have been able to pop back up to my feet much faster. The guy on top's objective should be to secure a strong position first, then look to ground and pound. In BJJ, they say position before submission. In this situation, it's position before ground and pound. As you can see, even in pure grappling here, where my opponent is focused on just holding me down as hard as he can, by being persistent with my shrimping to create space, pushing the face away, posting on the free arm, posting on the same side leg, then doing a technical lift, I am able to eventually fight my way out. From bottom guard, if you can get in your butterfly hooks, tuck your knees to your chest, then extend your legs as you sit up. Then post on an arm, get an overhook, post on the opposite side leg of your posting arm, and technical lift. And here are some more examples. Now sometimes our opponent will stand up and drive forward to keep you on your back. In this situation, I like to step each foot on each hip and push our opponent off with what we call a Rhino Kick, by literally kicking our opponent's back with our legs to create enough space to quickly technical lift. And here are several other examples. This is a great way to surprise your opponent. Sometimes I try to grab onto my opponent's arms or wrists to bait them into pulling back, and when they do pull back, I time it with the Rhino Kick, pushing them even further as I go with their momentum. Obviously, if you do it too often, your opponent will start to catch your heels as you kick.
Go, go, yeah! Oh my God.
Now what if you are stuck in bottom side control? You have the option of using BJJ techniques to regain your guard and work your way up as shown already. Or you can frame off the armpit and do a technical lift. We saw Derek Lewis do something similar to this, but from bottom half guard. So first I bridged towards my opponent's head. This caused my opponent to post with his arm, which created enough space for me to frame/post on his armpit with a straight arm. This gives me the leverage to sit up and post on my other arm. And from here, I just hip heisted. Sometimes you can roll your opponent over, and in my example, my opponent attempted an arm bar, so I just pulled my arm out and front rolled to my feet. And here is another example of me pushing the armpit to regain my guard. This was a live BJJ drill where I needed to just escape side control, so I wasn't actually trying to just stand up, but just getting back to guard. Another really effective way to stand back up is to fight to get your underhook. Once you get the underhook, you can use that as leverage to sit up and post on your free arm and do a technical lift. You may be able to stand right up to your feet or at least get to your knees and start trying to wrestle your opponent down. This next one is a cheat, using the cage to stand back up. You'll see MMA fighters nowadays post both their arms on the mat just to scoot themselves back towards the cage. And from there, repeat the same process as shown several times in this video. Post on one arm and the opposite side leg, overhook your opponent's arm, and technical lift. The difference is that it is significantly easier when you can use the cage to lean on while getting up. You want to slide your bottom leg to the cage and pop back up, and from there you need to work some cage wrestling. Who is interested in a video on cage takedowns or cage takedown defense? Please let me know in the comments below. This last one is using the K-guard to cause a scramble to do a technical lift. I would not consider it a basic BJJ technique, but at the same time, it isn't hard to learn. It is something we are seeing more and more in MMA nowadays. So we use it in BJJ when we are playing bottom guard. When our opponent is standing in front of us, or if they step a leg up, we can hook a leg and transition into K-guard by shrimping to create space to slide our knee inside our opponent's thigh and create a shelf on our opponent's hip with our ankle. As we do this, we want to turn our opponent's knee, which causes them to turn away. We can then circle our free leg around and chop down behind our opponent's knee. Then from here, we grab our opponent's other ankle and look to take the back. So if you got good jiu-jitsu, you can take the back. Here are some examples. Now, what can also happen is our opponent will fall forward or pull their leg out or just scramble in any way necessary to avoid their back being taken, which often creates space between us for us to quickly do a technical lift. Here are some more examples of that.
Don't let him triangle. Don't get caught in his guard too much. There, nice. Get that leg out. Get that leg out.
As you can see, every situation is different. So as usual guys, I try my best to use sparring footage to create tutorials to give you guys the most practical scenarios. So if you did enjoy this video, please support me by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, as well as hitting that notification button. Now, before you go, if you want to learn thousands of striking and grappling techniques, be instructed on how to drill these specific techniques in different situations, as well as how long you should be drilling, you'll want to check out my MMA Go program. You will get access to 4 follow-on classes a week, 2 striking and 2 grappling technique and conditioning classes, as well as a bonus session. I put everything I know in this program, and it's an ongoing membership, so new techniques I'm currently learning will be added. Find out more information in the description box below.